Namaskar, I'm Dr. Omkar Kulkarni. I am an MD in Ayurveda and working as an Ayurveda and Panchakarma physician and a researcher in Pune for around 15 years. I've also been active in the field of fitness and nutrition for quite some time. We live in a country where we are blessed to have a heritage of traditional wisdom, maybe in engineering, metallurgy, architecture, civil, or even in the field of medicine. Ayurveda is one such science which is said to be the essence of all four Vedas, that is Rigved, Yajurved, Atharvaved, and Samaved. Ayurveda has been in existence for almost 5000 years back, and it is still in practice successfully throughout the globe. The main focus of Ayurveda is prevention of diseases. Ayurveda believes that all the diseases, let it be simple cough and cold, to the most dreadful diseases like cancer, cardiovascular disorders, diabetes, or any other disease you name, they all originate from the body within itself. So, the main focus, if you really want to prevent yourself and build your immunity towards all this kind of allergic, inflammatory, infectious diseases and maintain your strength, endurance, power, and overall health, then the main focus should be given to boosting your metabolism. That is the primary importance or primary objective of Ayurveda. So, to maintain your metabolism, to maintain your Agni, that is the digestive power, the main focus has always been given through a proper diet, lifestyle modulation, mindfulness, and a lifestyle which is helpful to maintain this balance of Agni. This is said to give you a good mental, physical, psychological, and social well-being. If you divide our lifespan, then it can be divided into three major phases of life. One is the childhood phase, the other one is the mid phase, and the third one is the elderly phase. Like you all know, Ayurveda is based on three basic principles called as dosha: Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So the childhood phase is predominant in Kapha dosha, where maximum growth and development takes place. Kapha is cold, quiet, calm, nourishing, that kind of dosha. The second phase, that is the mid phase, is predominant in Pitta dominance. So that takes care of overall metabolism, digestion, uh, highly intellectual work, and overall type of transitioning. The third phase is the elderly phase, which is predominant in Vata dosha. So maximum, uh, what do you say, dryness related deterioration, degeneration, that kind of activities takes place in the third phase of your life. Now, today's our focus is mainly in the phase of adolescent. The adolescent phase is a transition phase from childhood to middle age. It is a phase of rapid transitioning. In Sanskrit, it is called as yuva. So the youth is derived from the word yuva. So this phase is a rapid transitioning phase, and that's why whenever there is any kind of transition, it is the most vulnerable phase to catch up maximum irregularities. Like, uh, like I've said, the childhood phase is predominant in Kapha dosha, and middle phase is Pitta dosha. Kapha is cold, and Pitta is hot. So whenever there is a transition completely from a cold to hot, it involves a majority of changes which we always see in this phase. Our body is mainly composed of 7 different tissues as per Ayurveda. These tissues are Rasa, that is the first tissue, which is a nutritious tissue; Rakta, which resembles blood; Mausa, that is similar to the muscle tissue of our body; Meda, that is similar to fats, the asthi, that is similar to the skeletal system, majja, that is similar to the medullary system or the neuronal system of our body, and seventh one is shukra, that is similar to the reproductive system. So these 7 tissues in their best form, they maintain the overall health along with the proper nutrition, proper agni, and a balance of 3 doshas. Now that we have understood the basics of Ayurveda, let us now go ahead to our main focus of our today's discussion, that is how Ayurveda talks about the nutritional planning or the nourishment planning for a sportsman, especially in the age group of adolescent. So, if we see what Ayurveda talks about how to eat, they have basically given 8 different principles which you need to understand and consider before planning your diet. These principles are called as Ashtav Ahara Vidhi Vishesha Ayatanani. The name looks very complicated, but the concept is very simple, which we generally understand and follow in all our dietary planning. The name being Sanskrit seems a bit difficult, but Ashtav means 8, Ahara Vidhi means how to plan the diet, Vishesha Ayatanani, that means the factors to be considered of. It's as simple as that. Let us go ahead with the first principle, and that is the Prakriti. Here, Prakriti, that is constitution, does not mean the constitution of a person. It is the basic integral properties of any food item. That means when you are consuming any food item, you have to take care of or consider its basic properties. Let it be in the form of micronutrients, macronutrients, or what effect does it have on your body. For example, from modern point of view, if you see, it is basically grossly divided into macronutrients and micronutrients only. But Ayurveda goes a step beyond that and talks about the effect of that particular food item on your body. So, if we see in case of pulses like moong, harbara, chana, and urad, from macronutrient composition point of view, they all resemble similar. They give almost similar amount of proteins, carbs, fats. But when it goes to the effect on our body, even we can understand that when we consume chana in any form, you generally get flatulence, that is the bloating in our stomach, or it causes vitiation of vata. So it can cause increased vata. Whereas tuar dal, if we consume, that also will give you similar amount of proteins, but that will increase pitta. On the other hand, moong will have a balanced effect on all the doshas. The urad will have a beneficial effect on muscle development and bone development. It is also good for development of sexual characteristics, and it also increases the excretory part. That is, it gives a complete evacuation of your bowels. So, if you see from the same pulse class also, you will see different grain will give you different effect on your body. So while considering any particular grain for your diet, you have to take care of not just its nutritional output, but also consider its effect on your body. So if you are a person who is looking to gain maximum muscle strength and bone strength, you have to consider urad dal instead of any other dals. If you want to balance the overall pitta, or if you are more vulnerable for pitta vitiation, if you are a person who generally gets acidity problem, then you should avoid tuar dal in your nutrition. So while considering these food items, you have to consider the property of that particular grain and the effect of that on your diet. The second part is karana, that is samskara. Samskara means in Sanskrit the definition is samskaro hi gunantara dhanam. So whenever there is any process involved which can potentially change the properties of a product, of a substance, or of a any food ingredient, then that process is called as samskara. The simplest processes may be just cleaning the grains, like we generally do whenever we buy any grains from a market. We just clean it and remove the dust particles or the adulterants from it. So that's one of the samskars. The second samskar could be just boiling it. The third samskar can be just putting it overnight, like we keep milk, curdle it and keep it overnight so that it becomes curd. So although it is originated from the same thing, but milk and curd will have a potentially different effects on our body. They cannot be same. So this samskara changes properties of a product. A simple example I will give you: the wheat and maida, the refined flour and wheat flour. If we consider, they both originate from the same wheat, but because of the excessive additional processing in the refined wheat flour, the effect of refined wheat flour decreases. In the research, it has shown to have lower antioxidant profile than the wheat flour itself. Also, it is shown that wheat flour will have a lower mortality rate in case of cardiovascular diseases and metabolic diseases like diabetes than the refined flour. So the person who is consuming more refined wheat flour are more prone to have cardiovascular diseases. So a simple samskar and otherwise similar grain, because of its processing, can potentially change its properties. So while considering wheat in your diet, you should mainly focus on a less processed and less refined kind of food item. So while designing your diet, you have to make sure to go more and more towards the less processed food items. In the modern nutritional science also, it has shown that more the processing, lower is the metabolic heat that is generated to digest, the efforts that are generated to digest that food. So if you eat more and more processed foods, your body's effort to digest that food would be less, and that in turn will reduce your metabolism. So make sure while designing your diet plan, you make sure that it is a less processed food item kind of diet plan. The third is sanyoga, that is the combination of food items. This is a very controversial and very underexplored area which is mentioned in Ayurveda. Ayurveda always talks about the combination of food. If you have a right combination of food, it will enhance the potency of that particular food item. But instead, if you have a very wrong kind of combination of food, that will reduce its effect and in turn will cause a lot of toxins in your body to accumulate. The commonest mistake or commonest issue we all face is combining milk with food items. In Ayurveda, milk is supposed to be having a very wrong combination when it combines with sour food items, salt, or any fruits except mango. So you have to make sure that milk is not combined with any sour fruit or sour items, then salt and any fruits. And the commonest and our most likely food item is fruit salad or milkshakes. That is the most dangerous combination. Milk should also not be consumed in any form with the non-vegetarian food items, especially the fish. So fish and milk should never be consumed in a single meal. Not just milk, then milk products as well. So fish and ice cream, wrong. Fish and milkshake, never consume. That gives the maximum accumulation of toxins and can result into very uh, dangerous disorders. Okay, so while designing your food plan, naturally almost all our sports person will have milk in their diet as a primary source of variety of nutrients. But make sure to consume that milk at least 1.5 hour after the main food. So you can consume it early in the morning and have your breakfast after that, or you can consume it in the evening time or at night. Milk is a very good source of natural proteins, natural immunoglobulins, and almost all vitamins and minerals. And by birth, it is acceptable and absorbable by our body. So it should be a part of your diet, and make sure to consume it daily. Preferably, you should consume milk from desi cow's source, that is the Gir cow or any other desi cow which gives A2 kind of milk. So this combination of food should always be considered. Again, any hot potency food item should never be consumed with cold potency. This is a drastic difference in the potency, and that disrupts your metabolism. So make sure never to consume any hot potency food with cold. Just a common example is the common favorite thing, that choco, what do you say, chocolate brownie, right? Sizzling chocolate brownie, wherein you have ice cream, a very hot sauce topped on that. So it's a hot potency combined with cold potency. It's very damaging. So never consume it. The fourth point is matra, the rashi, that is the quantity. And this is the most important part of your diet planning. You eat 2 times a day, you eat 8 times a day, you eat 6 times a day, it hardly matters. It doesn't matter at all unless you are consuming all your food items in the proper nutritional quantity. So let it be the overall quantity of food items, or let it be the individual nutritional supplement like protein, carbohydrate, fats. That quantity also matters a lot, as well as the total caloric intake. As we all know, the adolescent phase is a phase of rapid transitioning, and if you are a sportsman, your nutritional requirement is much higher. So to compensate that nutritional requirement, you have to consume a little bit extra calorie. But that calorie should not only come from the junk food. Like, the junk food is a calorie dense food. It is called as calorie dense food because it gives you only calories but very less nutritional values. So your calories should come from a healthy source. So let it be a protein rich diet, let it be carb rich diet, let it be fat rich diet, but it should give you enough nutritional value as well. So the quantity of food you must consider in the priority. The next one is kala. Kala means, like, we know different seasons have different impacts on our body. Like in the winter season, your body's requirement is much higher because your metabolism is higher. On the contrary, if it is summer or if it is too hot outside, then your natural metabolism is lower down. So you should not think that every time throughout the year I would be following the same diet. My diet would always be different in different seasons, different time of day, every time. The reason being, every day my metabolism would be different, which is based on my daily activities. Even for a sportsman, if you are in the competition zone, if you are near to the competition, then your natural requirement of nutrition would be higher. Whereas if you are resting and if you are not working out for the competition, if you are not preparing for the workout, then your natural requirement would be lesser. So you have to take care of both the nutritional requirements and consider both the scenarios properly. I know an example of a kabaddi player where she wanted to participate in some under 60, uh, 65, some group was there, and she wanted to participate in that group for her kabaddi competition. She was around 74 that time, and she only had around 1 month to make sure that she loses her weight and get compatible in that zone. She came to me. I actually rejected her and told her that you should not try any extra thing to reduce your weight, because losing around 8 to 9 kilo in 1 month is very dangerous, very deteriorating, because you will lose major muscle mass, and you should not do such things. But somehow she followed some other coaches or nutritionist guideline, and she reduced her weight. She could reduce her weight, and she participated in that under 65 group. But on the day of competition, she got seizures, the fits. This is because she was following a very low calorie diet, very low quantity food for almost a month, and that's why her all body tissues got weakened. Her brain was not functioning properly, and on the day of competition, she fell down with fits. This is what happens when you drastically reduce the quantity of food, and the same happens if you drastically increase the quantity of food. So the quantity is prime important when you plan any your diet. Next comes is the desh, the place or the geographical location where you are working or where you are residing. Like we all know, the famous proverb, when you are in Rome, do what the Romans do. That means if you are in one particular geographical location, try to adapt to the nutritional pattern these people follow. So if you are in Western countries where there is too much cold, the air is pure, and your metabolism is at the peak, then at that zone, yes, it is very important to have very high calorie and dense foods. And that's why if you see, the Western people would easily consume and digest the raw meat also. If you try to adopt the same lifestyle in the this temperate zone or in the tropical areas like in India, then you will not be able to digest the same thing. So just don't blindly follow what the Western people are following. Try to adopt the local people's guidelines or locally available foodstuffs, and try to incorporate them in your diet. Like in Maharashtra, the majority production, if we think of oils, then it is of groundnut. Then it is better to adopt groundnut oil, and don't rush unnecessarily for olive oil or anything like that, because oil remains oil. It does not majorly changes the properties. So try to adopt to the locally available food as soon as possible. So whenever you change your place, go and slowly and steadily try to adopt that things. So try to include the locally available foodstuffs. That's the underlying principle. Then comes your own constitution. You know, every individual is different. In our own family also, we all consume the same food. Generally, we follow the same guidelines. Generally, we follow the same lifestyle. Even after that, everyone would have different diseases. So I might be having a frequent cough and cold, whereas my sister would be having frequent headaches. So every individual would be different, and that solely depends upon your basic constitution, your basic hardware. So the balance of doshas which you generally come along with in the life, that determines your constitution. So you may be vata predominant, you may be pitta predominant, you may be kapha predominant. It is always better to know yourself before, and understand yourself, understand your constitution, and try to incorporate the food items which are compatible to your prakriti. So, for example, if you are a vata predominant person, then and also a sportsman in football, where you need to run faster and frequently, or you are a marathoner where you need to work out more and more and run for a long time, then you have a chance that you may get vata vitiation faster than a person with kapha predominance. Okay, so once you understand these things, it becomes very easy to plan your diet. So if you are a vata person in the sports like marathon or football and continuously working out, then there are high chances of vata vitiation. So make sure to include the foods which will balance this increased vata when you are planning your diet. So roughly, if we can say, you can include more and more ghee, oils, milk in your diet for this kind of person. But the scenario would be different in a kapha predominant person and in a pitta predominant person. So it becomes very imperative to understand your own constitution, your sports you play, and based on that you can plan out your nutrition. So the nutrition would be different for every individual based on your constitution as well. Understanding all these basic principles, we have to know why it is very necessary to follow these principles, especially in the age group of adolescents. The statistics suggest that almost 70% of the sports people leave their sport, especially in the age group of puberty. There are a number of reasons why these kids leave, but the majority reason is they cannot match up the sports requirements with their practices as well as the nutrition. So the kids start playing the games, they reach out to a certain level, and when the sports demand a little bit extra effort in terms of nutrition and practice, that's generally the age where the puberty happens. Like I've already mentioned, that's the phase of rapid transition in every sense, psychological, social, everything. So this transition, as well as the increased body demands of nutrition, increased demands by the sports, your body cannot adapt to that, and that's why kids leave the sport. We don't want that to happen now. If you really want to pursue your career in sports or in fitness, then you have to understand the basic principles of fitness and nutrition. These principles are simple. These principles are generally what we follow overall in our life, but we don't pay much attention to it. So understand what is needed by your sport, understand what your body needs, and try to adopt the guidelines which we generally prescribe. So try to adopt all these principles, like understand the property of the food item, understand the processes that take place, understand your requirement, body requirement of nutrition, how much you want, when you want it, where you are residing, and what your constitution is, what your family background is, what your genetics is. Considering all these things, you can easily plan out your nutrition in consultation with your parents, in consultation with your coaches, or in consultation with the experts in this field, and try to pursue your career and achieve your best. I hope I have made it easier, simpler, and clear. If you have any doubts, please do send a mail or message, and I will be happy to answer all your queries. Thank you.